Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hot Stove with your hosts, Scott Simpson and Jamie Calandro, with your special guest, Howard Bender. Welcome, everybody, to the Fantasy Football Hot Stove. I am your host, one of your hosts, Scott Simpson. So excited you can join us on this special Tuesday edition of the Fantasy Football Hot Stove. We're mixing it up a little bit. I'm going to a bachelor party in Austin, Texas on Thursday. My friend is getting married. The last of the Wolfpack is getting married, so we had to switch things up, and I'm really excited. Jamie, you're gracious. Today is the last day of school for students, so I know things were tough for you. Welcome, my friend. How are you doing today? How are you taking school being out for summer, technically?
Oh, I'm crying my eyes out. Wondering how I'm going to fill the hours in the summer. No, this has been a tough year. I'm glad it's over, honestly. And, you know, this is the kind of the summer where I can look to focus just on fantasy and really, really grow out there and meet some more new people, doing the Scott Fish Bowl, all that fun stuff. And I'm excited to do this with you, and I'm excited for our guest.
Oh, man, we got a great one tonight. I got to say, I had the pleasure of having Howard Bender on Chalk Block a couple weeks ago. Tremendous. And somehow Jamie has snagged him here for the FF Hot Stove, which is awesome. Welcome, Howard Bender. He is, if you don't know Howard, you should. He is Mr. To me, he's Fantasy Alarm. That's what he is. He's Mr. Fantasy Alarm. He runs the show over there at Fantasy Alarm. He's also SiriusXM Fantasy. And then he's also the Pie Bet Master, who I just that's how I kind of get introduced to him. But welcome, Howard. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing real well. Always great to talk to you guys. Thanks for having me, Jamie, Scott. Always a pleasure to get to sit and talk a little fantasy football and whatnot. Now, you want to talk pie bet? I just took a Boston cream pie to the face because I got goaded into a bet by one of our listeners, the Fantasy Alarm Show. He and his son. I was talking smack about the Islanders and how much I hate the New York Islanders. So they know I'm a New Yorker, so they were like, "Wow, how could you hate the Islanders?" I'm like, "I'm a Rangers fan. It's very easy." And the next thing you know, the Bruins blew it, and I had to take a Boston cream pie to the face, which I did on Sunday. You can see it on my Twitter feed.
Oh, I love it. And if you don't know, Howard is famous for a lot of things, but your pie bets really kind of bring community members together. I think it's where I first was introduced to you and got to know Bo as well, because Bo was involved in your pie betting, which was really a fun way to kind of up the stakes for your takes. You know, if you're going to say something, if you're going to believe something, back it up, put your face where your take is. And I think it's great. I have Howard's Twitter up here. Make sure you go follow him, Roto Buzz guy, Howard Bender. And while you're there, you can check out, lots of the different things. He's got links to Fantasy Alarms. He's a writer for the New York Post Sports. Fantasy Alarm is there as well. So check out all of those things. Really excited to have you. And we're going to jump right into the fantasy football, the hot seat here on the Hot Stove. And it's brought to you guys by, you guys know, it's every single week we do this. It's brought to you guys by the Hot Box Batch from Bo_McBigtime. He's the man. We love Bo. Go to bigtimeflavorcode.com right now and get yourself a bottle, a stack, all the stuff they have there. The spice stack, the spice chicken season spice is delicious for tacos. I love that. And then I also am a huge fan of their, particularly my favorite thing that they do is this. It's the hot box. So get yourself some of that as well. And so, Howard, we got 5 questions that we're going to run through with you, and they're going to kind of get a little spicier as they go. They're all tongue-in-cheek, so we're not trying to end any relationships here or put any takes out there that are too hot to handle. We're trying to keep it PC and friendly. So I'm going to kick it off. I saw today in the DMs that you have a dog, a beautiful dog named Jimbo. Is that how we're pronouncing it there? Jabu. I love it. Jabu. So here's my question for you. Jabu's a puppy. It sounded like this is not your first dog. And so you've had other dogs before in the past. It might be a hard question, but what is your favorite dog that you've ever had all time? It could be when you were a kid. It could be, college years, anytime. What's that pooch that just rings in your heart? You're like, I love that dog the most.
You got several right now, right?
Yeah, I've got 3 dogs right now. I've got a Husky Wolf mix and a Husky. And then our last 2 dogs, one was a Husky Cattle Dog mix, which is the same as what Jabu is. And then we had a a red Siberian Husky wolf as well named Julius. So, I can't pick a favorite. They all have different personalities. I mean, that's like asking a parent, like, which is his favorite kid. If nobody's listening, then, I'll probably say Mango, who was our first, because she was so insanely smart. It was unbelievable. Like, you were waiting for her to actually learn how to speak English. She was so smart and knew every word that you were talking about. You could say, go to the kitchen and get me a paper towel, and she would do it. I mean, mind numbing how smart this dog was. So I'll leave it out at that.
I think that's fair to say. My favorite dog was a golden retriever we had named Dusty, and it was for the same reason. He was so smart. We had 2 other female golden retrievers who it would escape and get out of our yard, and they ran away. And one time they ran away, we thought for good. And then a day and a half later, my dad found Dusty leading them back up our street. I mean, and they were gone for days, so who knows where they went all around. But Dusty knew where we lived, and he went out and got them and brought them back because he could jump the fence whenever he wanted. He would never do it. So when he left, we were thinking, holy crap, even Dusty joined in? No, he went to bring them back. And it took a day and a half, and he finally did it. So smart dogs really are the best. And I like that answer. That's a good hot seat first take. So, Jamie, I'll throw it to you and see if we can spice up a little bit more.
All right, so we're gonna kind of jump all over the place here. So we'll go right to, this is a fantasy football show. We can bounce back to the pie thing in a minute, but I'm gonna hit you with a fantasy football question first. So thinking back to last year, what would you say your best and worst plays were, either in fantasy redraft or maybe even a DFS mistake or a big hit that you had?
It's kind of funny. Did you ever see the movie Rounders?
I love that. It's one of my top 5 favorites.
Okay, so you ask any poker player, and he can't tell you how he built his stack, but he can immediately tell you exactly the hand that he lost it all on.
Yep.
So good fantasy plays. I'm not so sure. I've won some championships. I've made some great moves, and some good things happen. But the one thing that sticks out is I'm all about systems. You learn a team system and how it goes. And when Chan Gailey was taking over in Miami, and they brought in Jordan Howard, I was like, finally, here's the retribution for Jordan Howard, right? He's going to a system where the coordinator loves using one primary back. He loves pounding the rock and helping set up the play action. Everybody and their grandma is like crapping all over Jordan Howard, and the price is dropping. So to me, it was like, I was getting a starting running back in the 7th and 8th round, right? I was like, oh, genius move. So I had Jordan Howard everywhere. People were like, who's a good mid-round sleeper I can grab? I'm like, Jordan Howard, take him. It's going to be money in the bank. Wow, that dude sucks.
What do you mean? He's out there giving you a whole 1.1 yards per carry.
I could fall forward and get you 1.1 yards per carry.
I'm really worried about Gainwell because of Jordan Howard.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to say I fell for him, but I have made that mistake where you kind of you see the offense, you see the opportunity, you see they bring him in. I mean, they brought him in to play football, and I'm guessing to be their starting running back. Somewhere along the line, they went, this doesn't work out. What now? Is there anything that you did last year? Like you had a nice score one week in DFS, or you did a nice stack. Like I did a nice stack where I had Cousins and Jefferson one week. I took home some money. So anything like that you can think of last year that was like a strong play that maybe didn't win you everything, but you were just like, this guy he did well for me. Or is it all just gravy until you hit the bump and then it's just like, what the hell?
It's all gravy until you hit the bump. I mean, listen, you know what? If I'm hitting that milli maker, okay, fine. But listen, I grind out playing cash games. I'll play some small single entry GPPs. Nothing out of hand, but $25 entry fee for $2,500 in first place, and just kind of build it up that way. So no, there really weren't. I was in on Justin Herbert a couple of really great times to be in on Justin Herbert. But yeah, no, I again, can't tell you how I built that bankroll, but damn, man, when you turn around, you stake your reputation on Jordan Howard. Well, that's really crap in the bed now, isn't it?
I'm gonna edit that out of the show. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like intermission music and like, and then we'll just come right back to be like, and that's when you won the million. You know?
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so now we'll transition back to pies because I mean we're gonna talk pies a little bit. And this is all in good fun. This isn't. I'm not looking for like your mortal enemy, but there's guys sometimes that just they rub you the right way for a pie in the face. Just like, yeah, that guy over there, he's just jibber jabbering a little bit. He needs a pie in the face. So who in the fantasy space that you've kind of come across that would know you that you go, you know what, I want to plant one on you, big dog. And it could be a girl too. So I don't want to gender norm it. It could be a lady who annoys you or whatever. So who's that person? Do you think?
Well, you know what? I have two. Two. The first one,
you got two hands, so that's
right.
fine.
There you go. So with the left hand, because I'm a righty and I need the accuracy and everything for that. But this one just could be a huge mess. From Elite Fantasy, Ted Schuster.
Oh,
right. I love Ted. Ted's a great dude, right? But Ted's grumpy. Ted's Eeyore. Ted, but like, and he'll talk to you about like coaching his kids in sports, and you hear how serious he takes it. And I just want, I mean, again, I love Ted, but just want to be
right.
Want to hit him there.
Enough of that, Ted.
Right. With the other hand, right,
the forceful hand.
Yeah, the hand.
Not so much forceful, but I know I'm gonna, because I know I'm shorter than he is, so I got to go up, but I got to be able to hit it dead center there. Matthew Berry.
Oh,
right. Because I don't think anybody at like an FSGA event or anything like that would have the balls to do that to Matthew Berry. And I love Matthew. He and I talk, regularly, and he's a great dude. And every time we see each other at conferences, it's a great time. It's a great conversation. But I just wanna, I don't know. I feel because everybody's got him on that pedestal.
Yeah,
that's the best time to hit a guy like pieing Jim Bowden, watching Jim Bowden get pied in the face during that whole pie bet charity event was amazing because Jim's a major league general manager, for 16 years. You see him on TV all the time. So for him to get pied in the face, it's amazing. So Matthew Berry, I think that would go over well with everybody.
I don't think anyone wouldn't pay to see that.
I would love it. I'm gonna be angling to make it happen, Howard. And the reason is, and I'm not trying to break any news here, but I love Matthew Berry. We all love Matthew Berry. He's taken on this persona on his show as the bad guy, as like the jerk. You know what I mean? And he's just and I love it, but he's just dismissive of Fields, and he's just just throwing his weight around. But it's all shtick. But still, it would just feel good to kind of silence that shtick with a pie. So,
sure.
I'm 100% behind that. Jamie, is there anybody for you particularly that you'd love to pie up? I wanted to spread the love around because, I've got a guy who needs a pie for sure, and I'm going to pie him up this year myself when I see him. But how about you first, Jamie?
I mean, it's kind of like what Howard's talking about here with his two guys. Like, I would really love to just kind of pie Troy in the face sometimes.
Troy King, you're getting called out. Oh, you're getting a pie in the face.
Troy, and you know what the reason is? I'm gonna throw the compliments. Like, he's the nicest dude. Like, he's the nicest, most genuine dude out there. And I think it would just be fun, even if I blindsided him, just come out from behind him, just pop him right in the face from behind. If he was talking. He'd probably give me a hug. That's how good he is. Troy, I love you.
I love that. That's awesome. Was there any vindictive pies, Jamie, that you'd go for? Like any rivalry? Because Troy's like the nicest guy, so I get that. But anybody who you want to stick it to him real quick, or no?
No, I don't think there's that. This is a good space. This is a good space. I don't think there's anybody out there that's
in
maybe
the trust tree in the nest.
Trust tree. Okay, I'm going to push a little baby bird out of the trust tree, and it is our sponsor, the hot box man himself, Mr. Bowman, big time. He whooped me in head-to-head last year for lots of money, like lots of hundreds of dollars. And they were so close. The matchups were so close, too. It wasn't like he was crushing me by 50 points. These were narrow defeats that just left me heartbroken every single freaking week, to the point where one time I said, instead of paying him double, which I did at times, like winner gets your salary doubled or you get paid nothing. That was one of the bets we did. Another thing we did was all the work for the week gets done by the loser of the bet, and I had to write all his work. And the title, I think my column was "Eating White Dog Shit" that week because I was just eating a lot of dog shit. So Howard, I'm going to definitely team up with you this year. I'm in with Fantasy Alarm. I love what you guys are doing. We're going to talk about your draft guide in just a couple of questions here. But I'm just going to confess I'm not a cash game guy, more of a GPP guy, and so I might need a little bit of support as I try to take down Bowman big time and put a pie in his face this year.
I can help you with that.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. That's what I want to hear. You hear that, Bo? We're coming for you. Howard, I'm going to go see him in August, August 15th, while everyone's at the summit, the expo. Me and Bo are having the summit over in California. So I'm going to try to do something with a pie to the face then. He might pie me to the face. I don't know. But I'm not going to sneak up on him because he's bigger than me, Jamie, just so you know. And he could just pick me up and like squat me and throw me. So, Bo, we'll do a fair fight. A pie to the face contest, and then we'll share it with Howard so he can laugh at Bo getting a pie in his face.
Yeah, I may. You're saying that now. I may need to go back on my choice here. I mean, 95% of me says Troy would be a really good sport about it, but that 5% that like posts gym photos of himself at 5:45 every morning. Oh my God! If it's a bad day, you might kill
I
me.
want a pie, dude. Like a gym rat? Absolutely. They take their workouts so seriously.
Oh yeah. None of that. I take my beers real seriously. That's how I do it. Oh, yeah.
These are the curls.
Yes, these are I mean, look, dude, these things are massive. So.
Like that Bugs Bunny where it's like going underneath.
Like a little Jello shot in there. That's why it wiggles.
Yeah. All right, so we're back to football here. So, I'm going to kind of transition from what you were talking about before a little bit. I'm going to ask you another kind of a two-parter here. So, who is a player that maybe most people love this year in redraft that you hate, or at least lower on? And then who is your Jordan Howard for the year? Who is the one that most people are down on that you're touting, that you're reaching up those couple of rounds to take?
Well, all right. So the player who I'm down on that everybody seems to love, I mean, there's two. I'll go quick on them so I can sneak them in. Number one is Laviska Shenault. Everybody seems to love Laviska Shenault. Well, the more research I do into the Jags, listen, you've got Marvin Jones on the outside on one side, you've got DJ Chark the other, and Travis Etienne's going to end up with all this slot work. Where's room for Laviska Shenault? Darrell Bevell just laid out a comment saying that he wants to basically groom Shenault to be more of a pure wide receiver, which is basically saying that he wants him on the outside and he's not going to have a home in the slot. So I'm down on Shenault. Everybody seems to love him. The other guy that I'm down on that everybody seems to love is DeAndre Swift. I get it. He's incredibly talented, but he is in such a garbage situation right now because, look at the Lions. They didn't improve. They downgrade from Stafford to Jared Goff because they're eventually looking for a franchise QB. They don't give Jared Goff any kind of weaponry. They bring in Brashad Perriman as the primary wide receiver over here, and it's just not a good situation. You had TJ Hawkinson who's still there. This team is clearly tanking. It's clearly going to end up rebuilding after this season and really try to push that for the draft. So here's the question about DeAndre Swift. If you're building your franchise around him, why do you want to put so much mileage on him in a garbage situation? Like, why would you waste a year of him, just getting destroyed on a regular basis? So I'm not saying, you sit him, but, you lighten his load a little bit. Jamal Williams. Oh, there you go. I got a back who can take a pounding that we don't care about. So Swift for me is the guy that I'm down, but everybody's like, it's first round back. It's a first round back. I'm like, no. Dynasty, fine. Take them early and let them rebuild. But, man, Dan Campbell is he's just not going to – he's a bad enough coach as it is. He's not going to get it even worse and risk losing his job by throwing Swift out there to just take a beating.
I'm with you on that one. And I think one of our previous guests, we were talking about that too, that, Swift is not going to have the breakout year just because you want him to. I mean, it's Jamal Williams is there, and he's a problem for Swift's upside. Whether you want him to be or not. So I 100% agree with you on that one.
Yeah, no, that's a good one.
Yeah, player I'm up on that. Just to say it, Nick Chubb. I don't understand people. Like, well, Kareem Hunt's going to poach all this work from. No, he's not. And he hasn't in the last time. Listen, Nick Chubb, 12 touchdowns last year, over 1,000 yards. 2 years ago, was it last year was like 1,500 yards. 1 year it was like crazy yardage and lower touchdowns. And the other, I should pull up the numbers while I'm saying it, right? Because that would be the intelligent thing to do, is to back it up with the numbers. But here's the thing: like, why do we sit there? Listen, when the coaching staff came over here, when Kevin Stefanski came over, the most important thing for him that he wanted to do was employ the zone running scheme that he learned from Gary Kubiak, and he wanted to do that with Nick Chubb. Yeah, here you go. Almost 1,500 yards and 8 touchdowns in 2019, 1,067 yards last year and 12 touchdowns. Like, I'll take those numbers on a regular basis, and I don't give a crap. PPR, half-point PPR, standard, it doesn't matter. Those numbers are phenomenal numbers. So, for me, I'll take Nick Chubb. I've taken him as high as I've only drafted as high as 3rd overall in any draft, and Nick Chubb is my my pick there. I rank my running backs here. Yes, McCaffrey's that number one that everybody wants, but I'll even kind of pass on McCaffrey and give me Dalvin Cook and Nick Chubb all day. And when I say that I'll take Nick Chubb 3rd overall, people are like, think I'm nuts or something like that. But I don't know. Show me what Nick Chubb has done that Kareem Hunt is a threat.
Right. He's just going to get the touches. And that's what people don't really understand, is if you're going to be given, 17, 18, 20 touches a game, you can turn that into 100 yards when you average, 5.6, 5.0, 5.2. Like, you're averaging 5 yards a carry every time at least. Yeah, and you're breaking away from people and you're running over people. And they started throwing the ball a little bit last year too. You're like, what? They threw the ball to him, a screen. Oh my gosh! So I love him, man. And he's going in the 12th spot at the end of the round 1. Like, I will take him and Austin Eckler, and I will win my league, or or at least give myself a good position to win my league at the end. So I love that. That's a strong to quite strong take there, Howard. We're some patty-co there. So speaking of that, though, with the NFL season kicking off, I did want to let people know that the Fantasy Alarm 2020 draft guide is live. It is kicking. You can go and check it out. And so I wanted to give you a little platform. I wanted you to kind of share with the people kind of what people should expect and why people should kind of check it out. And when they go check it out, what are they going to find?
Nothing but a big old pile of deliciousness, baby. Nothing but. Listen, I love my team over at Fantasy Alarm. The work is, it has been first rate. We added Joey Cardolano, who used to be over at PFF, and he handles, our rookie talk and he handled our draft analysis. So, he's got his dynasty rankings up there. You got rankings from me. You'll get them from Adam Ronis, half point PPR, full point PPR, standard. But then, you look at the team. It's unbelievable. Oh, look, you got the ad for it right there. Go to fantasyalarm.com/draft now. And then if you use the promo code draft now, take 20% off right there. So it's like less than $16. I dive into every team's system and analyze offense and defense. So that way, you can I help you identify which players thrive in the system. Like, again, you could have the most talented guy in the world. If he's in the wrong system, it's not going to work, right? But you can take a mediocre guy and put him in the right system, and all of a sudden he completely thrives. Look at what went on with the Steelers. It was like Lev Bell left, and they didn't miss a beat. So, systems articles, high stakes articles. The one that's dropping this Friday, which I think everybody's going to love, especially because it's Scott Fishbowl season. Andrew Cooper, who is the at Coop A Fiasco on Twitter. He is the new tight end whisperer. I passed that baton off to him. His work is phenomenal. He's writing an article entitled "Winning the Scott Fish Bowl." So even if you're not in the Scott Fish Bowl, but you're in like in some sort of like giant tournament like fantasy game, he's gonna teach you about drafting properly and upside plays and what you're looking for in order to not just win your division, but to win the whole thing. So, I mean, we cover everything. Every style, basically, it's like any format league, we cover it. Contest, we cover it. DFS, we cover it. And yeah, I mean, listen, the product speaks for itself. The number of championships won by, members of FA Nation has been huge over the last several years. So there you go. That's my pitch. That's my spiel. Oh, and it's got a great cover picture of Justin Jefferson doing his little eye thing.
I love it. I'm trying to actually buy it right now. It's not great to do that while you're talking to Howard, but I have my stuff in there. It's there to buy. I'm definitely going to do it. I think it's a real value, and I also think that I love being able to learn from everybody else in this space. We do DFS over at nimblewnumbers.com. Bo and I are the two main guys there. We're having Jordan do stuff with us this year on Chalk Block. I also write for other different places, and so it's just great to be able to learn from everybody in this space. And I look forward to checking out your work and checking out the Discord and getting part of that community. And I told Bo, because Bo's a part of your community, that's something actually I wanted to be able to do. And so as soon as that came across, I was like, you know what? Let's jump in right away. So Howard, if you like it or not, I'm going to be all up in your Discord saying hi to everybody and letting people know how amazing you guys are. And I'm excited about it. And I'm not on Discord that much. My wife limits my ability to be online. There's like, like I only get like 10 hours a day online, folks. So let me with my deck work and my dog work, it's been my screen time is really down. Nick Ercolano would be so disappointed in me. He tweeted out once, he said, if your screen time isn't like 11 hours a day, I don't even want to know you. And I was like, oh, mine came at like 11 and 15 minutes. I was like, oh, I got it, man. I need Nick. And Nick was like, boss. I was like, yeah, I don't do much but fantasy and Twitter. So, that's that. But I like it. So I'm not gonna complain and be too submissive on myself. So please do check that out. And I mean, for $15-$16, I mean, seriously, that's like the price of like a sandwich. You know what I mean? Like one meal can feed you for the rest of the season. That's ridiculous. Like, it's just, you can spend $15 and then you can make hundreds of bucks, maybe thousands of bucks.
Don't rub it in, man. I've already had arguments with the partners about that. I'm like, listen, man, I get it. It's a good price for everybody, but it kind of cheapens my work. Like, right. Seriously, like the amount of work that goes into the coaching systems articles, right? Breaking down every single team like that. I mean, that right there is worth it immediately. Like, how many people have told me, they're like, man, this article is just, it blows my mind. I bookmark it, and I use it for DFS. I look at, coverage breakdowns. So yeah.
I can't wait. I'm definitely going to feather that in my cap. And that's going to be one step in the road to beating Bo as I build all the different tools I need. That guy's just so solid, and I hate it because, he works for me, but honestly, I work for him somehow. I don't know. By the way, have you guys tried Bo's hot? No, I'm just teasing.
Yeah.
No more of that for the show. No, that's cool. I appreciate you sharing. You've survived the hot seat. You're off the hot seat.
Well done.
Yeah, well done. And we are going to send you your own bottle of this. Bo should have already sent you this. I don't know if he's sleeping on that, but I know he's been sleeping on it lately. So we're going to make sure you get your own bottle of this, Howard. And it is hot. It's delicious. And I'm addicted to it. So I'm an addict. I'm not going to lie.
You got a very sensitive constitution. So, I mean, I'll put a roll of toilet paper in the freezer beforehand. And I'll be okay.
That's a smart thing. Or just put a little bit in your chili and mix it up. And then you get the taste, but you don't get the burn. You know what I mean? It's just a little bit here and there. Yeah, I mean, you got to protect your innards big time. Yeah.
On that note, do you still eat all the Peeps? Or is that those days over?
I had to retire from that one too. That's the older you get and the heavier I get, and it was a hell of a run, and it kept a lot of people happy on Easter Sunday. But I don't do that no more.
I'm thinking back a good 10 years or so when I wasn't even really in this industry, and I was just listening to Sirius XM Fantasy, and I was fascinated by that. That was probably my first exposure to you.
The Peeps guy.
Following the Peepathon or whatever it was going on there.
Peepapalooza.
That's the Peepapalooza.
How many peeps did you eat, Howard? What was the total?
Record total, I think, was 151, 152, maybe a few years ago. I just eat them steadily through the day, and that's the only thing I eat during the day.
And he used to update it. I think it was on Facebook. Like he used to update, like, 3:00, 80 peeps down, not feeling so good.
Heading to the bathroom. That's hilarious. Well, I think part of the FF Hot Stove, what we want to bring you is a little bit of who the person is that you're interviewing, get to know them. And Howard did a great job of just sharing all the fun stuff he brings, and no wonder he's kicking butt over there at Fantasy Alarm and then Sirius XM Fantasy. So all right, we'll transition. I'll let Jamie transition us into a little bit of the behind the scenes, the fantasy talk. We're talking fantasy, but a little bit more of the business side of fantasy. Jamie, I'll let you jump in.
Yeah, so we like, with our guests to really learn about them. And, a lot of people know you. A lot of people follow you on Twitter and, listen to you on Sirius. So when did you first start playing fantasy football? And when did you realize that it was something that you wanted to build a career around?
I played fantasy. Oh, God. I played my first fantasy baseball league, I think, I was in high school. So and that was just, a friend of mine's dad got us, me and him involved in that. And I think it was baseball for the most part. College, we started dabbling in a little fantasy football. Somebody just, started a league and we ended up doing it that way. But yeah, I guess it was probably like the late 90s where it really started to become more. I can't remember, 96, 97. I had this rotating poker game in New York that we always played. And, and it was the same group of people. We'd go on fish tour together and, we'd hang out. Well, one of the guys' dads was starting up he was branching off of his old fantasy baseball league. So he got all of us, involved in it. And we were like, well, we might as well just play fantasy football also. And so we did it that way. It was like late 90s, and we really that was probably where I ended up in maybe like 5 or 6 leagues because I was tending bar at the time. And then so customers would have fantasy leagues and invite me into it. And so I probably did like 5 or 6 maybe that first year. And then the numbers just kept multiplying over and over again. And listen, I was reading some stuff, and I won't out the site or the authors or anything like that, but I was reading this stuff and I was like, listen, I'm an educated person. I went to college, graduated, and I'm reading these articles that were crap, poorly written, tough to follow, and then some of the fantasy advice was just mediocre at best. So I was like, I could do this. And so, I started a blog, and I think it was like 99 or 2000. I started a blog on blogspot.com and just kept writing every single day and, making that happen. And all of a sudden it just started to, I started building up a following. And then I said to my wife at the time, I was like, well, she's still my wife. I don't want to say at the time. Right. I hope she's not watching now.
Sorry, honey.
Oopsie.
I think we know who she wants to hit in the face with a pie now.
She's done it. She's done it like 9 times now. Like, is there a better gift to give your wife than a lifetime of being able to hit your husband in the face with a pie? Like, she was loving that. You can hear her giggle, on the videos. It's hysterical. So. But yeah, so I was like, I said to her, I was like, yeah, listen, the acting and the stand-up comedy, it's fun and it's great, but I'm not, my heart's not into going to auditions and dealing with all of that nonsense. And and I didn't want to do it anymore, but I didn't want to just sit in 10 bar for the rest of my life. So I said, I'm going to try and make this a full-time thing. And I started sending out my links to anybody and everybody and started picking up a couple of jobs, was working for probably like at one point, like 8 websites, just churning out nonstop fresh content for each one, writing like 3 articles a day, every day, and just making it happen. Then finally, I said to the top 3 sites where I was writing, which were Fangraphs, RotoWire, and Fantasy Alarm, and I said, listen, I'm looking for full-time. I can, wear different hats within the company, but I want to turn this into a career. First one who jumps gets me. And RotoWire immediately got in touch with me, but at that point they had a policy that full-timers all live in Madison, Wisconsin, and I was not relocating to Madison, Wisconsin, nor could I ask my wife to do that either. So and then Fantasy Alarm was like, yeah, we want you full time. And I jumped at the chance. And what is this now? 10 years later, 10 years down the road.
Nice.
Yeah, there it is.
Household name. I love it. Well,
nice.
It's so encouraging to hear though, that really what it is it's hard work. It's applying and trying your best and learning and tucking in and doing it and loving it and being about the life. That's what it is. It's what gets you. And yes, you make connections with people. Yes, you put yourself out there. But if you didn't have that work behind it, then there was nothing for people to value you as. But you had all that, and they were like, this guy is awesome, besides being funny and silly and the comedic part, which, I love that. That's why I'm doing this. I could be a stand-up comedian who's mildly funny, but one-liners here and there, I can do that. On the fantasy, I'm funny enough. I'm not as funny as some, but I'm funnier than Jamie. So, it works. It's not. So it's a low bar, but, we're working with it. But that's cool. So here's one thing, as you transitioned, from doing, bar and kind of doing acting and those things, what are some of the things that you've kind of learned along the way that you can kind of pass on to people, like myself, Bo, people who are newer in the industry, who are kind of, I'm not full-time yet. I'm not able to do this full-time. I still have to teach my full-time job. Jamie just got done teaching today his full-time job. So it's not going to happen for everybody the way it did for you, but there's things that you have, learned and lessons that you're able to kind of garner that, we would love to hear, maybe one of them that we can apply just a mindset wise,
Be the workaholic that you need to be. Like it's a grind. It really is. If you want to be involved in sports writing, listen, you need to pick up a second sport. Everybody and their grandma wants to only write about football, right? That's fact. I don't care if it's basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, golf, whatever you want to write about. Just make sure that you're versatile and you have at least a second sport that you cover. But you have to understand sports is 365 days, 7 days a week, and there are no holidays. And there are, if you're trying to establish yourself in the industry, you have to make certain sacrifices, whether it's, your free time on the weekends, time spent with, the wife and kids. You have to dedicate time every single day to doing this. I'm not saying chain yourself to the desk for 8 hours a day, or even doing that the entire weekend. But, I just, my wife and I, we used to own a live music venue here in San Francisco. And so she would work at night and she'd be, she's a night owl. So I just trained myself to just getting up 5 o'clock in the morning every single day, making sure that I was writing and I was getting all of my stuff done. So that way, when she did get up on the weekends, I had already been working for about 6-7 hours, getting everything done. And then I could spend the day with her, hang out at night, whatever the case is. But Memorial Day barbecues, nope, sorry, I'm working. Labor Day barbecue, nope, sorry, I'm working. And that's just, that's the way it is. Sundays, I am, I'd love to, go hang out and walk on the beach with my dogs on Sunday during football season, but I have to sit and watch every single game and analyze it and break it all down. So it's no rest for the weary. Grinders are the ones who succeed the most. And those are the people who are trusted, right? People come to me for a job and, they're like, well, I can't really work on Saturdays. And I'm like, that's a problem. Yeah, because if I'm hiring you to do the work, Well, if you're going to work on a set, listen, I've been doing this for, 20 years and I still work every Saturday and Sunday. If I want to bring somebody in so that I don't have to work Saturday and Sunday, guess what? I'll bring in somebody who's willing to work Saturday and Sunday. That's just kind of where it's at. Also, don't say no to a job. Don't let your first answer be, to respond to a question of, well, how much does it pay?
Yeah.
Get your foot in the door first, then worry about the salary. Content production in fantasy sports is not where the money's at. If you think you're gonna be make $1 million just writing content, you are sorely mistaken. Like all the bigger money is on like the tech side of things, right? Mm-hmm. So, if you're just you think that you're gonna write a DFS article, 3 days a week and make a ton of money doing it, it's not gonna work that way.
Yeah, that's all really great points too, and just on something you said there, like a shout out to the wives and the spouses, because I mean, my wife, I teach all day and sometimes coach sometimes after, and I mean, the things that she's okay with, like the fact that I'm on the chat from 5 to 7 with our DFS subscribers almost daily. And then writing on the weekends, Sundays during football season, I'm basically, up at 7 working until 1, and then I watch them. Then I watch the games too and stay on there, because we do like the late games for DFS, and she's so good about that, and that's really an important thing too, because she sees what you have to do to stay in this industry. So, I mean, shout out to the spouses.
Yeah, listen, I got lucky because I happen to also have the wife who sat at the poker table, and we said to her flat out, we were like, you can join these fantasy leagues and carry on the conversation at poker, or you can choose not to and then just kind of sit and play cards, whatever you want to do. We were like, we were doing this. And so she jumped in, she started playing fantasy. Her first fantasy league, she and I shared a team. Drew Bledsoe was our quarterback, if I could put a date on it there.
What?
Who's that guy?
I don't think a lot of people know who that is, because they were just born. They were just born today. They were born right this minute. No, I agree with you. I slept on my couch in the basement every Friday night and Saturday night during the football season, and because as soon as I would wake up on Sunday morning at 7 or whatever it was, after I went to bed at 1, I would start doing content until 1. And then, you got to watch the games. And then, the content cycle starts as soon as the games end, because for me, I had to input all that data into my DraftKings tool. And so it does not end. And I like the grinding message. I would also say for me, the building relationships with people has been super important, I think, for myself, in just being able to use my gifts. And like you said, not caring about the money. I actually am writing for the Sports Gambling Podcast Network right now, not because I asked for a lot of money or anything. They were just looking to hire a writer, and they tweeted it out, and then I retweeted them, and I just was like, yeah, man, go work for them. And then one of the guys over there reached out to me. He's like, well, Scott, what about you? And I was like, I can't do it. And they're like, no, what about you? And I was like, okay. And then they gave me a nice price. There's a good price. I said, okay. So don't be, I mean, they asked me honestly, and I kind of thought about it, but then when it came to the money, sometimes be willing to take a good job, even if it's not what you're expecting. So I did add another thing to my plate, which my wife did not appreciate. But I'll tell you, this week I got paid by Underdog. I got paid by Fan Team Advice, and I got paid by Guilty as Charged podcast and Sports Gambling Network. So my wife can, take that money and go spend it now. And she won't complain. She won't complain when she spends the money. So, thank you, honey, for all the work that you do and all the money that you spend. That is mine as well. Thank you for that. All right. So let's jump to the next question here. I appreciate those lessons being shared. Jamie, I think you're up next, brother. I don't want to hog all the questions here. I think I'm a question.
No, you're good.
That's what I am. I'm a question hog. I know.
Yeah, so, I mean, you mentioned, Howard, that, sports writing and analyzing is a 24/7, 365 thing. So for NFL, we've seen firsthand, especially this entire offseason, that NFL primarily is a 12-month sport in the industry. So from a fantasy perspective, how do you approach the NFL offseason? And what can fantasy players start doing now to get ready for the 2021 season if they're not already?
Well, you get the draft guide from Fantasy Alarm. How about that, right? I mean, listen.
That was an alley-oop. I threw that one up.
Right?
Yeah,
That one.
I love it.
But I mean, yeah, listen, we were pumping out a ton of free content during the off season, our draft coverage stuff there, just to show everybody what, football season's about with us. I mean, it's really kind of simple. It goes in stages. You study the draft, you figure out the landing spot for a lot of these rookies. You understand, which teams are filling holes, which teams are actually gonna, are making some proper moves. You don't get caught up in the hype talk that happens during OTAs, because who gives a crap how fast this dude runs with no pads on and no defenders coming after him, right? So I just I lighten up on the news stuff there. I focus my attention really on how the players fit in their team system. And then you kind of jump into training camp. And once training camp happens, then you start seeing everything more, implemented on a more, granular level that you can kind of take a look at it and figure everything out from there. So, I mean, yes, football drives the bus in this industry, and the coverage is massive. But from just a fantasy player, not an industry person, you could sit and enjoy your summer, follow the news. That's, what you got to do. But, if you get yourself a trustworthy source, get yourself a trustworthy guide, and then just kind of make your move. But I mean, I don't, you're not putting in hours of research every day in the month of June here.
No.
Yeah, you're just kind of waiting it out.
No, and I think if what I like to do too, before I got balls deep, as we say in fantasy football, I would just kind of monitor certain guys over the course of the summer and see what was happening with them in training camp, and just have a list of kind of my guys in my head that I wanted to kind of just, what's the scuttlebutt on this guy. And so somebody right now like Elijah Moore, who it's reported today that he's running out of the X, and you're just like, oh, okay. And so that's something that, maybe it's just a training camp, a mini camp exercise here, nothing huge, but that's the kind of information I'm just going to put in my back of my head, and then kind of build that Elijah Moore profile. And as things kind of work out, you start to hear maybe he has a smaller role than I thought, or maybe he has a bigger, but you're at least kind of in tune with certain players, which I do want to always stay abreast of the news. So, Fantasy Alarm's a great place to do it, and you guys can check out the work they do every week. I mean, Howard's writing every day. He's over there every weekend at least writing, so do check out that as well. All right, here's a question I have for more from the DFS big picture. We're DFS guys. What do you kind of take from last season in the big picture of DFS that you can kind of apply this season? Because there's different trends, there's different things that happen in the NFL on the macro level that we kind of see, and then the DFS, we can kind of capitalize on that if we're ready to kind of start the season a little bit ahead of the curve.
Pay up for tight ends. Don't be an idiot.
Don't be
pay up for tight ends. It's really, you've gotten to that point right now where we're looking at Kelsey and Kittle and Waller. Yeah, there you go. A move that helped me win a ton of money in that 1 week was when I opted to pay up for Darren Waller the week that he just went bonkers with over 200 yards and multiple touchdowns. And I paid up for Waller, and I probably made in that weekend a couple of grand just, because of that, because people weren't paying up for tight ends. And it was Kelsey wasn't even on the slate that week. And I don't remember, maybe Kittle was hurt or banged up or something like that. And so, it was like Darren Waller was there, and I was like, that's where I'm going. Pay up for the tight ends. You do get that advantage. They are that active. And I think that's probably the biggest lesson that I learned when it came time for DFS.
Yeah, well, the thing too about that, I kind of started to shift that way a little bit this year, a lot more than I had. I generally, because I'm like you, I'm a cash guy, and I always look to punt the tight end, and just kind of hit me this year that, later on the sites corrected the pricing, but early on in the season, Travis Kelce was, low 6,000s in DFS, and people saying, "Wow, I have such trouble playing that for a tight end," but consider his production compared to the wide receiver ones, and like, is it all that different? It's not, given the work he gets, and we're talking about slates where Devontae Adams is pushing 9,000 and DeAndre Hopkins is in the 8,000s, and Kelsey is a gift at 6,500 when you're considering comparing him to that. So I think that's just definitely something to keep in mind when you're doing this, because you do have such an advantage, especially in cash games. You can't rely on like the Colts tight end carousel in cash, as cheap as they might be, because they could wind up with a 0 and you need that floor. So I think that's a good point.
No, I love it. I love it. All right, now we're getting into we got a little bit of time left, about 10 minutes left. We're getting to burning questions for 2021. These are not questions that you need to give 5-minute soliloquy on. Not that you would, but kind of more what you think, and then maybe 1 or 2 bullet reasons. I'll let Jamie kick it off here with our annual. We ask every guest this until we figure out what the answer is. We want to know where everybody weighs in on this. So I'll let Jamie shoot you with this one.
Yeah, so until this is rectified, we're getting as much as possible. I mean, so Aaron Rodgers, how does the uncertainty impact the fantasy value of his teammates right now? If you're drafting right now, what are you doing with Devontae Adams? What are you doing with Aaron Jones? What are you doing with Rodgers himself?
Listen, you got to downgrade these guys a little bit. I mean, Devontae Adams is still a stud, but yeah, with Jordan Love instead of Aaron Rodgers, I'll probably pass and let somebody else grab them. There are enough high-end wideouts that I can fish off of there. Aaron Jones, to me, I mean, great. If there's no Aaron Rodgers, it's probably a better opportunity for him. You could see them, ground and pound it a little bit more there in Green Bay, which, is something that LaFleur likes to do anyway. So, I think Jones stays the same. I downgrade Devontae Adams a little bit. And go from there. I did a best ball draft with, and I grabbed all the Denver guys because that's where Rodgers is going to end up.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, if you
just
can get
as long as he's not there by week 1, trade him in week 2.
Oh yeah,
I'm going to throw something if he's in Denver week 1.
Who are they playing in week 1, Jamie?
They're playing the Giants in week 1. I better see Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater under center. There's going to be a revolution.
Oh my gosh, you and Steffi Smalls will have a conniption. You guys will drink all the White Claws out there. So
we're hitting everybody with pies together if that happens.
I love it. Okay, so next question, burning question. Here we go. Julio Jones trade. We're just, there's a lot of impact on this. A lot of craters going here and there. How does it impact Derrick Henry, particularly with his touches? By the way, he had 397 touches last year. 19 of those were receptions. 378 of them were carries. Does that number go down, go up? You see him more efficient? What does it look like for Derrick Henry?
Stays the same. I mean, listen, it's the system, right? That's the offense that they run. It is a run-first scheme. And it's not going to change. Derrick Henry is going to continue to get his carries. He's going to continue to get his workload. The Julio Jones trade, to me, if it does anything, it improves A.J. Brown, because now all of a sudden you've got somebody other than a tomato can like Corey Davis who's going to actually draw coverage away, and people are going to have to pay their mind to Julio Jones. I mean, that's just – even if it's just name recognition alone, defenses aren't going to want to leave him all by himself against a second-rate cover corner. So, I think that it'll help pull some coverage away from the double teams away from AJ Brown and kind of free things up. But I mean, it does nothing to Derrick Henry. Henry will just keep getting the work that he needs to.
I really like it for Julio too, because if you look at last year, our tomato can. Corey Davis was 16 yards away from a 1,000-yard season on 65 receptions. So you're thinking Julio Jones can improve on that. That's 1,100 yards is only 115 more yards in that system, and you think he's going to get more than 65 catches. I think he gets 85 catches. I think he's got more than 1,200 yards in him. So
I mean, it's possible, but you gotta understand that the way this offense, Julio Jones, to me, it's almost lateral for him as far as the move goes, because I mean, you had pass first in Atlanta, so that aspect is now gone in Tennessee. But I think you'll get more efficiency. So I agree with you on the yardage, and maybe touchdowns help even more so. But I mean, they're just not going to throw the ball, more because they've got Julio.
I agree 100%. I think that if you can get Julio Jones as your wide receiver 2 or as your wide receiver 3 in the end of the 4th or the 5th round, I'm okay with doing that. That to me is acceptable to me. I'm not targeting him necessarily, but if he's hanging around in the beginning of the 5th round on the 11th pick or something, I can grab him. You know what I mean? Or whatever. Like it makes sense. So, okay. Let's jump to the rookies. Oh, I'm so excited. This is
the rookies.
We haven't talked rookies at all with Howard, and so it's fresh meat. And I'll go for it, Jamie.
Yeah. So I mean, this rookie class has been polarizing Twitter since before the draft. So, who are the rookies that you're targeting forget Dynasty, more in best ball and redraft, who's going to give you the immediate dividends, and who are you avoiding?
I mean, Jamar Chase is an obvious one. I think that he's definitely going to see a ton of work. Joe Burrow was like a petulant child, right? He was like stomping his feet and holding his breath, saying, "You got to draft. Give me Jamar Chase back. Give me Jamar Chase back." So he'll get fed the targets, and Burrow will look for him. So I dig him a lot. I like Terrace Marshall Jr. actually in Carolina. He's going to take over that Curtis Samuel role. Man, you go through like Joe Brady's offensive scheme and you look at these underneath slants that he likes the team to run. And I mean, it's just, you got receivers going everywhere. Now you've got Darnold, who is more accurate than Teddy Bridgewater, has a bigger arm to keep DJ Moore involved as well. I think this Carolina offense is going to be really strong. And listen, if I can get 750 yards and maybe like 4 or 5 touchdowns out of Terrace Marshall, where he's going in drafts right now, I mean, that's free money right there. Free money.
I love it too. And Darnold loves that slot guy too. So I love that pick too.
Yeah. This is not a Jordan Howard situation either, folks, because this is one of the most skilled receivers, not a plotter, who's a system guy. So I'm redeeming you, Howard. You're going to crush it this year. I'm going to make so much money from you beating Bo. I cannot wait. I'm going to be sending Howard gifts because I'm going to be taking so much money from Bo. All right. Here's what I want to know for you personally, and I'm not looking to badmouth anybody. It's not an agenda, but I like to make fun of zero RB. It's one of my favorite things to do, just because it's out there and it's a thing. So I want to kind of see where you land on this scale between robust, like I walk away with 5 muscle-bound RBs, my first 5 picks, robust, to the zero RB guys like Denny Carter, who are just beta cucking it up. Like where are you feel in this range?
I have zero interest in zero RB. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't. I mean, listen, I get it. I know that first round players bust. I get it. I understand. But it's very common in fantasy sports. It's he who touches the ball the most is the one who's liable to score the most points. So if you can get yourself some running backs who are going to see consistent touches, that's what you want to go for. Injuries will happen anywhere. But to sit there and rely on some of these pass catching backs and thinking that that's what's going to that's going to do it for you? No, it's just not for me.
Yeah. Well, the problem I have with zero RB is that if you can predict which of these J.D. McKissicks will come out of the Nebuchadnezzar fire of the NFL, then go for it. Then tell me on your crystal ball. But what I've noticed, and this is the spray and pray strategy of zero RB, is that once you get past a certain round of filling up with these stud RBs or stud wide receivers, excuse me, you just start grabbing any trash running back for like 5 or 6 rounds. So you just take like rounds 8 through 14, and you just get trashy running backs, and then hoping one of those guys' injured teammates is carried off the field so that your guy sneaks in. Like, I don't play that way. I play who's the most valuable person right now that I can put on my team from whatever position it is, unless it's like 6 quarterbacks or whatever. I have a limit to each. And so I'm with you. I don't have to be locked into anything, but I'm probably never going to be locked into zero RB. Sorry, guys. Jamie, how about you on this one? I'm interested to hear your hot take as well.
No, it's not my thing. And, that's my DFS cash game mentality that I go for floor, and there's no better floor for me than guaranteed running back touches in those early rounds. So, with the drop off that comes, I don't play that. I don't play that guess the pass catching back game. I lock them in when I can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can get Eckler, who is a pass catching back. You don't have to guess it. You can get Alvin Kamara, not a pass catching back. You don't have to guess it. I mean, there's simple guys who are going to get those targets, and you don't need to guess it, and you can draft them instead of drafting a wide receiver. It just makes sense to me. So, but
I like taking care of it and early in the early rounds, and then rounds 4 through 8 or 9. Load up on those mid-tier receivers that are not as far behind the top-tier receivers as those mid-tier running backs are.
Get Terry McLaurin. Get Terry McLaurin in the third round. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, get
exactly.
You can start your draft. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do so many drafts like this. I get Austin Eckler or Nick Chubb, but one of those guys, and then Najee Harris. I want to start with those two. Those three are some of the people I can get if I'm in the later rounds. I'm thinking more of those 11, 12. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get those volume running backs. So, okay. All right. We got one more question, then we're going to jump to the finish. Jamie, I'm going to have you knock this one out the park, buddy.
All right. So Howard, this is your chance to put your stamp on a player. Who's that one guy that you're aggressively targeting on all your 2021 teams, and then who's the one that you're not going to own at their
I haven't decided yet. I mean, it's so early, and I get it. Like that's the problem with being on Twitter as much as we are, because everybody on Twitter is trying to plant that flag way too early right now, and to me, it's not good. So I'll tell you what, late in drafts, I'm taking Sam Darnold. I really, I think as a second quarterback, that it's going to be very surprising for a lot of people. I mean, that's a great late round sleeper I'm going to do. And then somebody who I'm not interested in at all. I mean, most of the guys who I'm not interested in, it's probably because of where their price tag is. For
ADP. Yeah, depending on like Joe Mixon going, 16th overall. I can't do it. I can't.
I'll just go back to DeAndre Swift then. I will happily pass him over where everybody wants to take him. It's not working for me.
Yeah. No, I like it. Very good.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Okay, so Howard, we talked about what you're doing here, Fantasy Alarm and the Draft Guide. Where can people hear you next? When's your next show? You just came from a show today. What's your schedule like coming up?
All right. Well, I'm going to sign off with you guys and go record the Ante Up podcast with Adam Ronis. Nice. And then I'm on 10 p.m. Eastern, Colton and the Wolfman. I'm filling in for Glenn Colton. So you can hear me on SiriusXM later tonight. And then tomorrow the Ante Up podcast will drop. And then by that point, I'll also be back on Fantasy Alarm. So, yeah, it is a never-ending cycle of radio and live streams and stuff. So you can find me if you just follow me on Twitter at RotoBuzzGuy. It's all right there for the taking.
I love it. Awesome. And Bo just said he's going to buy your kit. My credit card information is in there. I just have to go back and make sure it went through. So I'm 100% down. Thank you, Howard, for coming on the show. We're really excited to have you on. And during the regular season, we're definitely going to check in with you. I would love to do a pie bet in a collaborative way with you and maybe Bo or somebody. We can raise money in any way to support lots of different great causes. My daughter's battling leukemia. Well, she's doing great. She's winning. So things like that. There's always opportunity to raise money for organizations. Right now for Scott Fish. Their Fantasy Cares. There's also like last year I donated to the Lymphoma and Leukemia Society in my area for Scott Fish. There's just so many ways that you can get involved to be able to care for other people and jump in. So if you're in Scott Fish or if you're not, be looking for opportunities this year, whether it's for Howard and stuff he's doing to raise money or, potathons or whatever. There's so many great opportunities to care for people in need. And that's one thing I've learned about being in the community that I love is that really I'm here because of everybody lifting me up and caring for me and my family. Like that's why I became a part of this community. I had no plans to be an analyst or to run 3 pods or to talk to Howard Bender. Like I didn't think that was for me. I just thought I was going to be a fan and love fantasy and then so many people loved me that this is where I am. And so I'm so excited that I can be a part of this, Howard. Thank you very much for coming on. Do check out all the great stuff at Fan Team Advice. You get my man right there, Jamie Calandro.
Yep.
Reading. I mean, he's crushing it every week. He's got articles for basketball. He's got articles for football coming out. So do Fan Advice it up, please, and check out all the great content there.
Yep, I'll give our plug too on top of that stuff. Just some upcoming stuff we have on Fantasy Team Advice. Our draft guide will be live on June 30th, and right now I'm still churning out the DFS NBA whenever there's multiple games, because I'm total degenerate that way.
I love that. We're partners. We're
yeah,
partners.
that's right. Yeah. Once that kind of calms down, we have a great team handling baseball right now. So once that kind of calms down, I'm going to do a team by team breakdowns, and then when the season begins, that will kick off my game by game breakdown for DFS with the color coded green, yellow, and red plays for cash and GPP. And then I'm going to be working with football diehards this year. That's one thing that's a nice announcement coming my way. Yep. So come September, I'm going to be doing 2 shows and 2 articles for football diehards. So shout out to those guys. That's a great group over there. Howard, I know you know them pretty well too. So I'm excited.
Absolutely, man. You're going to have a blast working with all of them. I love them.
Yep. Yeah. Bob Harris. Yeah. Bob's awesome.
Bob is
a great dude. Mike Dempsey, Jersey Jen, the whole crew.
Yeah.
I love it. I have a question, Howard. Do you do best ball? Do you do underdog fantasy? Do you play in those?
Yeah, I've got a couple of teams in the Best Ball Mania too.
Okay. I
has a couple too.
I have a couple, and I'm so excited because my second quarterback in 5. I've got 5 Mania teams. 4 of them have Ryan Tannehill as my second quarterback. So I like that. Like, it's an upgrade a little bit getting Julio, not huge through the roof, but it doesn't devalue him any. And so that kind of just gave me. And on one of the teams, I got a stack of Julio and AJ Brown. So if at the end of the season they get some garbage, they're playing some team that they got to, score 50 points against, and their defense sucks, and maybe I can get one of those big, like Pittsburgh games last year, or game against like the Browns or somebody where there's running up and down the field. So you never know. That AFC South is a really shitty defensive division. So I like targeting that group in fantasy this year, because I think that the defense is pretty weak as a whole. So and so I will do this, Howard. I'd love to be able to do a fantasy, just like a $10 draft or $5, whatever it is, the $5 drafts with you. Bo's in them all the time. I'll send you a link. Let me know when you're available, when you're not online or doing a show. And we can do a little best ball. And Jamie, if you're into it too, you can jump on in there as well. And if you're new to sign up, I love Underdog. There's drafts going every day. Sign up using promo code NIMBLE. That'll help me out. I just got paid by them for the first time. My wife was so excited. This is what I need. Me and Bo are announcing something. I'll announce it right now. If we get 100 subscriptions, we're both getting matching Underdog fantasy tattoos. I have 0 tattoos. I'm pure. I'm a virgin. I've got beautiful skin. I've never had anything touch it, and I'm scared. I'm a man baby. I'm not going to lie. My brothers have it. My dad has it. My wife has 2. She's got them on her back. Everybody's stronger than me and better than me. I'm not going to lie. I'm just going to say the truth. But 100 subs, we will do it. It is worth it, and we'll get Underdog tatted somewhere on our bodies that's presentable. Nothing inappropriate, but do sign up and let me know if you do. I always want to plug them and the stuff they're doing over there. And then go get yourself some Hot Box, get yourself some Viridian Global merch as well. You said you got your Hot Box, or you got your Scott Fish shirt on. This year, you can get them at RotoWear, and you can get them over at Viridian Global. And the Viridian Global stuff that I've seen is hot fire. I already have
so good.
Nirvana shirt. I got 2 Pink Floyd shirts. I got Public Enemy hoodie. I got 3 or 4 more shirts too. So check it out. Howard, what's your you getting the fish one? I'm sure, right? Is that the RotoWear one? They have a fish one, right?
Yeah, they do seem to have a fish one over there at RotoWear. I got that one, the Podathon, and the AC/DC one that they had as well.
Oh man, I love them. All I wear is fantasy t-shirts now. Like, that's it. That's like my wardrobe every day is a different one. I wore what you're wearing today, yesterday, Howard. Like, that was we crossed swords of t-shirts. Today I'm in the Pink Floyd division over in Scott Fish. So I'm rocking my, Pink Floyd Welcome to the Machine Undroppables t-shirt from Viridian Global. So there's always opportunities here in the fantasy space to jump in and wear great merch. And I mean, that Fantasy Alarm hat is fire, man. I might have to buy one of those. That is just, yeah, that's the white elephant in the room, man. I want that gifted to me on Christmas for sure. So thank you, Howard. Appreciate you. Everybody else, check us out next week. We've got somebody who I love, and from the DFS perspective, I'm sure Howard is aware of him. His name is Graham Barfield. He is a great guy. He works for Fantasy Points, another crew that I love. The people over there are just the best. Scott Barrett, Dr. John Proctor, they do the fantasy DFS stuff each week. They're just the tops. I love those guys. So he'll be on, and we'll be pumping them. And go right now and sign up. I'm going to finish and log off and go sign up for the Fantasy Alarm Draft Guide. Do it right now. $15, probably win you hundreds. I'm just going to say at the least. Tell your wife it's an investment in the future. Her future, and then tell that future is like doing something special for her. That's all you got to do, man. I'm telling you. They'll do it. So, all right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for checking us out. Peace.
Thank you.